Are
after
we live?
this
And
starts.
we are live.
And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cubist. My name is Bill Corey. I am the Cubist, and happy Memorial Day, first and foremost.
Yes.
Happy Memorial Day to all of you here in the United States. For those that may or may not be watching abroad, it's a bank holiday in Great Britain, so I know that's a thing, but I hope everybody has enjoyed their holiday and whatnot. So we won't dwell on that too much, but hello, chat room. How's it going? Tonight is our Spiel des Jahres, and I always say that wrong because my lisp comes back when I try to say it. So the SDJs, we're just going to go with that. And anybody that can actually speak German, you go for it. We're going to talk about the SDJ nominations. They were 7 days ago, and we mentioned them briefly on the show last week. But this week, we're going to talk more about them in some depth and talk about our opinions on the ones that we played. Spoiler alert, I don't think anybody in the show has played all 6. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Yep. We have, I think, a couple 4s and a 5 is my guess, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So we'll talk about that. We will make our yearly predictions, which are usually wildly incorrect.
Yeah, they are.
In the chat, we are almost always wrong about this, but it's fun to talk about anyway. So chat room, hello. Good to see you all in there. We want to hear your opinions. Yep. Chad's played all 6. That doesn't.
Well, we knew that.
Chad, yeah. I mean,
Chad, you're cheating.
Clearly.
That's not fair.
Do we need to get Chad on the show to talk about him? I mean,
yeah. Chad, you want us to?
Chad, do you want to actually be the 4th chair tonight? Because if you do, I'll shoot you a link. I don't have a problem with that.
The power to do this, Chad.
Yeah, we sure do. We sure do. So, chat, if you want me to loop you in, just shoot me a message and I'll send you a link. So, but before we do start talking about SDJs, while we're waiting for Chad to figure out whether he wants to be on camera, let's talk about games we played recently because we still have to do it. Patrick, you go first.
All right. I was recently at a convention called Geekway to the West, which was my first foray into that. And bumped into some folks I know, one Kathleen Mercury and one Eric Dewey, and a friend of Kathleen Mercury's. And we sat down and we grabbed out of the Play to Win, which they have a huge Play to Win library, the 10th anniversary of Stone Age. We're all big fans of Stone Age, and hey, we wanted to grab a game that we are kind of familiar with, you know, and just kind of have it more something we could just chat and play, right? Because we're all friends and wanted to catch up. But this is the 10th anniversary, so I also wanted to know how it was different. So we're all familiar with Stone Age. It's an ancient, 10-year-old ancient worker placement. It has the love hut and all the quarries around the perimeter. The thing that's different is it has 2 sides to the board. So it has the traditional board on one side, and then the flip over side is this winter scene, which just makes the board look different. And then that winter side has some modular add-ons that you can play with. One is the huts that you normally play, say like a gold, a stone and a brick to buy, and that gets you like 15 points. Might have a little plus stone symbol on it. And then if you throw in an extra stone, you can get an extra 5 points when you buy that.
Okay.
So that's one thing that adds in, is just some of those bonus things. It also has in the card row, if you throw in an extra gold when you buy that, you can get an extra 6 points if you throw in a gold when you buy your card with the normal resources. And then I think on the what's the row above that? Shoot. There was one other way you could just throw in a resource. Now, that was cool because it was a way to get extra points. But then Kathleen was commenting, you know what? This is going to make the game takes longer because we're using up more resources on these other things instead of the game ending things, which is buying buildings. So she was right. The game took like 3 hours.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
We were also chatting.
Turn that down.
And there was a little bit of a time where Kathleen got up and she went to get a meal. And then Cindy jumped in. So then we had to teach Cindy. And then Cindy had taken over. And Cindy didn't know the game very well. So there was a little bit of that happened. But also, there was 2 expansions in the game that we played with again, which also were interesting but slowed the game down. So there were pluses and minuses. They shook up the game, but then they slowed it down. They had these wild animals that were mixed into the cards. The cards in the bottom right. you flipped over a building card, or those those cards in the corner, and some of them were wild animals, and they were interesting in that they came out on the side, and they're like, all your rolls for that turn were going to be -2 until everybody, or at least 4 people, were willing to put a pawn there to kill that wild boar or that wild animal. And then once everybody did, then it was dead, and then you would get a bonus for killing it. But having a -2 on all your rolls for until that was gone is pretty significant.
Yeah, that's tough.
That sounds like the attack cards in Twa, the things that pop up on the bottom, the event cards.
Yes, exactly. You kind of really wanted to attack them. And I just played Twa last night too. And then there was some igloos, and we didn't play with those. And those were just some additional buildings that you could throw in. So, it was cool. It was fun to play. I liked the new side, the winter side. I liked, so in the Cubist scale, if you own Stone Age, I would play it.
Okay.
Because I think it's got some interesting new things to it. I still like Stone Age, and I still enjoy playing it. And if you didn't own it yet, I would definitely go out and buy this version.
Okay.
Because it has the 2 sides, it has the different things it adds to it. There's no reason to not get this version, right? Because it's now available.
Okay.
Anyway,
so I have 3 questions, if you don't mind me asking. Question number 1, can you play just basic Stone Age on the snowy side of the board?
Yeah.
So you can.
You don't have to use those additional things.
Okay. Just making sure.
That's module one.
Okay. Question number 2, does this feel like what I feel it like is something that happens fairly often with reprints of games, where they will add in stuff specifically to turn it more into a gamer game? So like maybe it's something where Stone Age was your gateway game, but now you are more of a hardcore gamer, so they give you all this extra loot so that way you can turn a game that you remember into something that is heavier.
I would say so.
Does it feel like that?
Okay. Unnecessarily heavier.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah, because I think the beauty of games like Stone Age is that they are simple and reasonably quick, and that you can just kind of pick it right back up. And then number 3, is there a stinky cup? Because the cup always smells real bad.
There's a picture of me. That's what caused my seizure.
Oh no!
There is a.
I'm not sure it's.
There's a picture of me smelling the cup. We all discussed that, and that is of course there is a leatherette cup. It probably does not smell as bad, but there is a stinky cup.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes, I used to be very. I guess 4th question. The style is the goal.
It's not in there.
It's not in there.
Not
in
there.
No. Okay.
It's the same art.
So it would be compatible.
Art. Yeah.
You could go get style as the goal.
You could probably get it and add it to it. Yeah. Okay. It's essentially the exact same game. Just
with more.
Just 2-sided with the winter.
I'm really surprised that for an anniversary edition they didn't just lump style as the goal in there and make it a
You'd
bigger
think,
box and call it a day.
And maybe weird. It is. Maybe it was, and we didn't see it.
Okay.
Maybe we just said we want to just play the basic game, but I don't think it was.
All right.
I'd have to read more up on it.
That's interesting. All right. Well, that's cool. I used to really hate Stone Age. I've come around. I came to my senses a year or 2 ago. I don't
really love it, but I haven't played it in a while. So
yeah, I just like it as a entry level-ish. I also thought it was entry level, but and we could probably talk about this when we get to Wingspan. What to me is entry level is not the same as what Cindy thinks is entry level. So
that's reasonable. Yeah.
She sat down and said, I never would have picked this game out when she was done. She was not happy with that game at all. And I would never want to play it again.
I had an experience like that at a game day that I attended yesterday. As a matter of fact, I am about to change what game I was going to talk about. I will use this as a segue because you know what? Screw it. I'll talk about it later. The game, I'm going to go with my choice number 1, which was Zombie Kids Evolution. So on Saturday, my friend Chris brought his young son Ethan over, and the 3 of us were going to sit and play games. And we knocked out a bunch of really lighter stuff. And one of the games that they brought was the Zombie Kids Evolution, which is essentially they call it a children's co-op game. It feels very similar to like a very, very simplistic ghost stories in that you have a building in the center that you're moving around in, and there are first off zombies, and you have to lock the 4 gates to the school so that way the zombies can't get in and get you. And then every turn you roll a die and a random zombie will pop up somewhere in the school, and you can run around and, somebody has to like get rid of them while 2 other people. And it takes 2 players in one location to lock one of the gates. And the rules specifically say that when you want to lock a gate, when 2 players are in the same location and they must do a high five and yell, yeah, when they do it. So the Ethan, the young guy at the table, was very excited. He always wanted to be part of the closing of gates so that way he could high five people. So
Cool.
his high five skills got
Cute.
very good as we were playing. Here's the other interesting thing. It is a legacy game. So it is,
really?
Yep. It is a legacy children's game, which I thought was really, really interesting. Every time you play and win a game, you take a sticker out of the center of the book and apply it to like the victory track. And there is an entire achievements thing in there. And so for instance, if you can win a game without there being any zombies on the board, or if you can win a game while there are no zombies in reserve, so you almost died or whatever, you get an achievement. And if you get enough of those, you get to open envelopes that will unlock more characters and more choices. So everybody's playing a vanilla. Think of it like Pandemic, where everybody's a vanilla person in your learning game, but then some people start getting roles. It's sort of like that. It was better than I expected it to be. It is very easy, as children's game tend to be, which is fine.
Yeah.
But there was definitely tension in a couple spots. There are some interesting, I'm not going to go into all of the rules because there's really no point, but it was interesting and better than I thought it was likely to be. I think that it succeeds very well if you want to play co-op games with your kids. I think that it does a good job at that. I think the legacy side of things might be more interesting for the adults sitting at the table than the kids, quite frankly, because the adults can game the system, and that gives the adults something to look forward to in playing this kids game. I think is the key. The art's nice, the production's fine, nothing to write home to mom about. They're cardboard standees for all of the players, and then the zombies are just like tiles that you lay on there, but there's nothing wrong with it. The board is double-sided. One side is easier than the other, and they recommend that the more players you have, you use the other hard side of the board. Whereas if you're playing with, let's say, only 2, then you would use the easy side. They're just more doors, so you can move from space to space easier. It's good. I don't have kids, so for me, I can't in good faith say buy it because, I don't think it's a game that everybody needs to have.
Yeah.
But if you have kids and you want to get your kids on board with the concept of co-op games and what it takes to play together and have them learn basic co-op strategies, I think it's a solid choice. I think it was pretty cool. Designer is Anik Lobe, and the artist is Nikao, I guess. And it's a re-implement, by the way. The original game existed in 2013. This is a sort of a second edition and adding the legacy thing. I think it's solid. It's not, like I said, I don't need to own it. Every game is 5 minutes if you're lucky. Like, it's stupid fast once you know what you're doing. But that's also good for a legacy game, right? Because it means you can sit and knock out 3 or 4 games of it in order to unlock a thing and not be frustrated. So that's kind of all right. I think it's solid. It does what it sets out to do. And it's a version of Ghost Stories I can actually win, which is really exciting. So I mean, that's
I have won Ghost Stories.
I won my first play of Ghost Stories and then never won.
Oh, you should never play it again then.
That's what I should have. I should just quit.
Speaking of when you dominate a game and then should never play it again, Kimberly.
Me. I would like to talk about just one.
Which one? All right, I can leave now.
Just one was described to me by the lovely friend of the show, Daniel Newman, as reverse code names, which is pretty apt. It's a party game where you're all together. It's a co-op party game. And the person whose turn it is, they have a card in front of them that they cannot see. It's facing outward, and they'll say a number. They're 1 through 5, and each number is a different word. And whatever the word is, you have to try to describe it. Or your people are going to try to describe it in one word. They're going to write one word on each of their little whiteboard easel things. And then they show each other. And if anybody's words match somebody else's, they cancel each other out. Otherwise, they all get shown to the person, the active player, and they have to try to guess the one word, which thankfully I haven't had to say that too many times when teaching it yet. Just one freaking word. There are a lot of adults that have an issue with that. But we played a perfect game of it on Saturday. Perfect. It was me and Maho and my sister and brother-in-law and our family friend Carl. And we have, like, they're not party game people. My sister hates that, like, having to be the one on, where everybody's looking at her thing. They all kind of cringed, which is funny because when I brought it out, because these are people I've played Codenames with like 8,000 times and they always do fine. Like, nobody's ever complained. But we played a perfect game of it. You play through 13 cards, 13 words in a row of your team trying to guess it. We had not a single double up in words for clues, not even one time, which is insane. And it was a 5-player game. And we got all of them correct. It was great. There were a couple that I thought for sure we were going down, but nope. So we can never play it again. It's just one and done for that group, at least. It is designed by Ludovic Rowdy and Bruno Sauter, maybe Sauter.
Sure. Yes, the thing that you said is definitely the truth.
Invented the soldering.
We'll go with that. I thought Patrick was the official mispronouncer of names on this show.
Today'd be a good one.
Today would be a good one. I agree.
We definitely, I mean, it was, I've never seen a group of people not cancel each other out before in words. We were using just randomly different people would put like the one that you think of most, but it was the most creative grouping of clues I've ever seen in my life, which was pretty impressive. Never again will I play it now, but it was great.
Very good.
Hey, Chad Roberts
Chad
is here.
joining.
Hello, Chad.
So just one is like
He's
easily
figuring out his audio.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
is easily available through like a bunch of different sources between $15 and $20. If you enjoy word party games, I would say it's a buy it. And it just so happens to be a Spiel des Jahres nominee.
Yay! Segues for days. I love it.
Awesome.
I have one question and this has been brought up a couple of times recently. I own Just One. I love that game. I took it to a thing that I went to yesterday and we played a ton of it. My one question for you about Just One is I have heard a number of people say that they recommend buying 2 copies so you can play with larger groups. To me, that sounds like hell, and I would not want to play with more than 7 people. What is your thought here?
I mean, I would do it at a convention, but yeah, I think 7's good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I cannot, like, I mean, I don't know. There are other games I would rather play with larger groups. I guess that's what I'm saying.
I think Troy played too.
Eric Yurko's friend created Just 2, and that's you combine 2 sets and then people guess. It's really convoluted.
Yeah.
So it's available. It's on the internet.
Gotcha.
On the internet, you can read the rules.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Make it work if you have to.
Make it work. And yeah, even with crazy ass clues like Maho said in the chat, we were trying to get my sister to guess garlic and he put Wario, which none of us had any clue what the hell he was talking about.
Isn't
that those little garlic guys jumping around in Mario Land?
That's what he said. He was, I guess he doesn't have
like
mushrooms. Yeah. Oh, thank you, honey. Only the ignorant jerk.
Nice.
So yeah, I always come up with the weird twisted words in Just One.
I tend to use Just One as an excuse to write down big, long, crazy like vocabulary words because I'm usually pretty certain that other people aren't going to write down the super dumb vocabulary word. You know what I mean?
Accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, brain was one of the clues that came up last night, and I wrote cerebellum because I was reasonably sure that nobody was going to be like, cerebellum is a word that I'm definitely going to come up with. And sure enough, it did not. Although cerebral did come up, and that is not the same word. So I felt reasonably okay about that.
Cool.
But I'm sorry to crap on your awesome segue there and accidentally ask you more questions. I wasn't ready.
I tried so hard, friends. So one more time, just in case you didn't know, Just One is also a Spiel des Jahres nominee.
Ta-da! There you go. Yes. So
what is the stigil?
All right. Yeah. You know what? Let's actually have this conversation really fast because for years I grumped about the Spiel. because all I thought to myself was, this is stupid. These are terrible 3 ambassador games for the hobby for this year. Like, who gives a crap about blah, 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 blah. And as Brandon has pointed out in years gone by on the show, and sadly he isn't here with us tonight, this is not for us. So the Spiel des Jahres is the yearly game of the year award in Germany, aimed at family gamers, i.e. those who play games but aren't heavily into the gaming scene. Right. So we are not the target audience for this. Now, having said that, we still enjoy yapping about it, because I think, we all have opinions on what constitutes a good game and what doesn't. And
we sure as hell do.
And even though apparently we're not supposed to call ourselves content creators anymore, that is sort of what we do. And us dirty content creator people have loud opinions about things, because that's why we're on the internet. So, bearing all of that in mind, the 3 nominees were the Spiel. So this is the Family Gamer Award, or just one, as we just talked about, a game called Llama, which is an acronym for a German phrase meaning lay down all your negative points, by the way. So if you were curious about why that word is, it's an acronym. And then Werewords, from Bezier Games. So the predictions, we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, Werewords. Oh, no. Werewords is not trap words. I was thinking trap words. Werewords is Insider, right? That was ripped off. Got it. Yes. Okay. I was thinking the entirely wrong game until just now.
No, it's Werewords. So
never mind, Rob, who's in the chat room. Insider joke.
There you go. So let's start with the 3 games. Just one, obviously, just got described.
Chad, are you here yet? Speak.
Hi, Chad. We can see you. You're lovely. We cannot hear you, but then again, you don't look like you're talking, so maybe that's on purpose. Okay. So just one we just talked about. Llama appears to be something somewhat akin to Uno in a way.
Yeah.
Oh.
Basically, there are cards of different suits, or the cards numbered 1 through 6, and on your turn, you can either play the same number as what you see on the discard pile, the number 1 greater than it, or a llama card. Yep, there it is. So Chad, hang on. Chad, you can be our very quiet Vanna. If you want to hold that back up. There you go. We'll focus on you so you can...
Can you hear me okay?
Now I can hear you.
I can hear you now.
We can hear you.
I'm sorry. We haven't used this. I'm in the stream room, and we haven't used this room in like 8 months, and so the system wants to update and all this stuff. So
okay. I know how that goes.
Okay.
Well, so, Chad in the chat, welcome. Good to have
so this is Llama. As you can see,
there you go.
Well, that's adorable, and it's designed by the Good Doctor, right?
Yeah. It's the Good Doctor.
Renier Kinezia.
Yeah. So you have,
Patrick's side.
I don't know if the lighting is that great in here.
You're good.
Good studio lights on. So
you're good. We can see
you. All the associated cards, like all the 3s are green and all the 2s are blue and so on and so forth, right? So that's why they have the color suits, because each number, it goes from 1 to 5, or no, 1 to 6. I'm sorry, 1 to 6. And you basically, like, if you have a 1 on the table, you can either play a 1 or a 2, right?
Or a llama, right?
No.
Okay.
Or you can pass and just drop out of the round. Those are your options. So if like a card is there, you can play the same card or a card higher. And getting to Bill's point, if there is a 6 on the table, being the highest card on the table, you then use the llama to either play another 6, or you play the llama, which is going to be the bridge that takes you from the llama, or takes you from 6 to 1.
Okay.
So it's the rollover mechanic
in
a lot of games.
Okay.
And so the thing is whenever this is one of those like golf games where the lowest score is going to win.
Sure.
And so whenever you pass and you're out of the round, any cards that you have left in your hand before you pass, because you didn't want to draw any cards, or maybe you thought you'd draw a llama or something like that, you would score the points that are on the cards, right? So you'd have, like, if you got caught with a 3 and a 6, you'd get 9 tokens. So whites are the singles, and the dark tokens are the 10s. If you have multiple of a card in your hand, so if you had like 3 3s, it only counts once. So it'd be only 3 tokens for that. If you play out or go out of any of the, if you go out, you have tokens in front of you, you can get rid of 1 token, whether it be a white one or a black one. It's up to you to choose.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The first person to get 40 points ends the game.
And then lowest
That
score
person
wins.
naturally is going to lose.
Okay.
And then of the remainder of the people that are playing, whoever has the lowest amount of points wins.
Got it. Okay.
And that's
So
it. in a nutshell.
So the scoring is similar to pick an effing card. Oh my God, what is wrong with me? 6 nimped.
Yeah.
Okay. So somebody
if you
hits.
had said that properly, I would have right away known what you're talking about.
I did. I said pick an effing card.
I think
I
you're
actually-
picking up a card.
No, I called it the
Taught
right
that to
thing.
somebody on Geekway too.
Yeah. And so like this one hasn't been picked up currently from a domestic publisher. I think Amigo America maybe actually doing it themselves. They haven't decided yet. I think they're still in, hey, do we want to do this or do we not want to do it? I'd assume if it does win, they'll put it out themselves.
Sure.
You know, why wouldn't they?
Sure.
They have the bandwidth. But you know, it's very colorful.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a very
So-
family accessible and so on.
Right. So, I mean, people complain from what I've watched on the videos, and roughly compared to Uno in that it's, you're drawing and you're playing a card basically in the Uno-esque like manner. But the strategy is, and like you said, if you have 3 3s, maybe you don't play your 3, you play your 4, because keeping 3 3s protects you because that's only worth 1 point, right?
Right. And
Or only worth one thing against you. So
Yeah.
there is some way to protect yourself. Whereas,
yeah. And one other thing I've seen played. So I went to BGG this weekend and got to play this several because here locally we played like two or three players and it was kind of mediocre. I think this game really shines with a higher player count.
Okay.
So they'll play 2 to 6, and I think we played a big 6-player game, and it was just crazy because you'll see people instead of like they may not have a llama, but they'll have a handful of 6s, so they'll just start dumping a 6. So there's only a limited amount of each card being just a deck of cards. So you'll start to notice there's a wall of numbers. So it's like, oh, they've played a bunch of 5s. Therefore, if I come up on a 4, I have a 4 in my hand, or I have a 6 in my hand. I maybe just want to drop out because I know there's a wall. There's going to be a wall you can't get over, just because probability-wise, the odds of you drawing a card that's going to get you out of the glut in your hand may not happen. And if you draw a card, you can get a llama.
Gotcha.
okay.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally does. It totally does. That's interesting. That makes. So I got to say, I watched the video on BGG that Eric Martin did with one of the Amigo. I don't think it was the designer. I think it was just somebody working for Amigo that was quickly describing the game, and I was a little bit underwhelmed. It sounds much more interesting the way you're describing it than what the video was, because like the video made it just seem like, well, oh, good, I can play a number, or I could not play a number. That's lovely. Yay. I don't, whatever. It feels like that has been done a million times. This sounds like there is a little bit more to it, or at least there can be.
Right,
like it's a game you can get better at.
You want to be able to make decisions.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, everybody here has played numerous Reiner Knizia games, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this one is not, in terms of Reiner Knizia, like small card games, it's not doing anything new. Like the scorings, it was kind of weird. The abstract play on like a 1 through 6 sort of thing kind of is, we've all seen that in different card games. Yeah. It's just he's adding the scoring from here and the card play from here, and it makes that unique environment. And it just so happened to come out at a really good time. They said, hey, we can. They sort of say, hey, because that the Spiel Jahres is sort of targeted towards family anyway. So they say, hey, this would be a great game to play with Grandma on Thanksgiving. And I think that's why it was.
Right.
So Troy asked a good question in the chat room. Is this nominated just because it's a Knizia game?
I don't think so. I mean, because if you look at, from my personal opinion, I wouldn't think so because, look at how many games Knizia has done. I mean, he's got like, over 700.
Some ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
Over
700 pulp titles, right? So, he puts out a game every year.
He puts out a game every week.
I was gonna say, I think it's like every 2 months, probably.
Yeah, it for sure feels like there are way more games Like, hang on. So I'm okay. I'm on the BGG and I just clicked on him. He has 56 pages of designs that he is associated with.
Yeah.
Each page has 10 up to 10. So he has somewhere at, more than 550 game designs in the BGG database.
Right.
And the vast majority of them not only were never nominated, but would never be nominated, right? Like he is not this. I'm actually a little bit grateful that Brandon isn't on the show for this hot second. I love Brandon Kemp to death, but
Yes.
I feel like he would be very unhappy with me if he heard me say what I'm about to say, which is that he is not. Dr. Reiner Knizia does not bat 1,000 in his game design.
No,
right?
of course not. Nobody does, though.
I agree. But my point is, like, just because his name is Dr. Reiner Knizia, it does not mean that everything he prints is gold. Right.
Yeah.
Like, so I would say, I don't care if it's his name on the game or not. I don't think that helps. Like, I think the game's got to be good. Yeah. Doctors designed 16 games during this conversation while we were during the discussion of the rules. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Now,
We've
to be fair,
way too much game on Llama though. Too much time.
No, it's not that I think that would get him the nomination on name alone, but it probably gets the game looked at a little bit better if you're a reputable designer, right? Just like something by Uwe would be.
Sure.
Or
I guess
one that's in the next one.
Yeah.
The other Spiel by Feld.
Sure. When we get to Kenner Spiel. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the third and let's drag this out so that way we can all yell again for a minute.
I'm gonna get so angry. You ready for this?
Yeah, everybody's gonna get mad, and that's fine. The third nominee was Werewords, and so let's just have this conversation now. We've talked about this. To be fair, we had Ted Alspach on the show.
Ted on the show, yeah.
We've had Ted on the show before, and we brought it up to Ted because we said, "Look, are we gonna, So for people that might not know what the hell we're talking about, Werewords and is very, very similar to another game called Insider by Oink Games. They are not the same game, and they are different enough.
They're the same base game.
They are the same. They have mostly the same mechanics.
It's like fancy 20 questions.
Right. Yeah. It's 20 questions meets trader mechanic is what the game is. Right. So it's 20 questions structured like the Resistance is actually the other way that I usually describe it to people. It's, and I know a lot of people really feel like Ted stole Insider. That is a common conception. I'm not going to say it's a misconception because I don't know. I do know that Ted insists that they were designed in parallel.
They released the back and forth letters, right? Between two of them. So take what you will from that.
Right. So, there is documentation that you could interpret in both directions. And quite frankly, I find this argument a little bit uninteresting at this point because it's been beaten into the damn ground for 2 years.
Let's beat it some damn more, Bill.
Yeah. So, if Werewords wins, does Insider get a smaller version of the STJ? I don't know. Maybe a tiny. We'll make it like a mini STJ. I don't hate that idea. All I'm going to say is I just don't find this particular argument super interesting. They nominated Werewords for a reason. They didn't nominate Insider. I don't know why that is, and I don't care.
I don't think that little red thing will fit on an Oink Games box. But
I don't think Oink Games meet the qualifications.
Okay, so maybe that's what it is then. Having said that, I love Werewords. It is always in my game bag when I go to any event because it's a game that I can play with anybody. People like it. It plays a wide player count. It's fun and interesting. I love the whole the mayor mechanic where the mayor can't talk and can just pass out the little chips. I think that's really clever and interesting, and that is a mechanical difference from Insider, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah.
So there is another, because there's also a tiniest bit of resource management there if your group is playing intelligently, right? You don't just burn through a million questions as fast as you can because those tokens are limited. I think it's interesting. So I don't know. So that's basically the game. All right. So now let's talk about our predictions. Chad, I'm going to make you go first so we can all listen to the smart things you're going to say and then copy you later when we want to justify why we're picking things. Which one of those three do you think will win? Not should win, but will win.
What will win will be just one. That is what I think.
I agree with you. I think that just one will win as well because I think it's, quite frankly, freaking brilliant. Like, it's really smart. And it's a cooperative party game, which doesn't happen. Like, that's just not a thing that exists. So, or at least not much. So I totally agree. Kimberly, what do you think?
I was also going to say just one.
Patrick?
I vote the same.
All right, everybody. It is unanimous. We all think just one will win.
We just cursed it, guys.
Yeah.
I want Werewords to win, just to be clear.
Wow.
Chad!
No, but I know just one will win.
No, hang on. No, you're not getting out of this. And no, but I think, no, I want to hear. Why do you want Werewords to win?
Because I like Werewords better.
Okay.
I personally like Werewords better.
That's it, booed from the chat.
I own 4 copies of just one. But I like Werewords better.
I think that's just 4 then, Chad.
I like both of the games, but Werewords is harder to sell because you have to explain the win mechanic. Werewords is better for more gamery folks. Just one you can play with literally anybody. Like, you can take out just one to any gathering of more than 3 people and play it and teach it, and you're off to the races.
And it takes 2 minutes to teach. I mean,
the only downside for just one, and I've had it fail a small amount of times, and I've also had Werewords fail a small one. The downfall of both of them is the pop culture references. If you are playing with people from other countries that may not know sort of the American pop culture lingo, it may not work too well. If somebody is just not into pop culture, they may not know the lingo that's in there. I mean, there's a lot of generic stuff, but there's also a lot of pop culture stuff in there.
So we do ask before we play, does everybody understand what this is? If not, pick a different card. Like, swap it out with another deck.
Yeah.
I will say that I think there is one missed opportunity in that box that is in my and actually I'm gonna poke a couple holes in just one, even though I still think it'll win. I think the card quality is atrocious, and that bothers me a lot.
I mean, you don't have to really shuffle them or anything. So.
No, but you can see through the damn things. If there's a bright light, you can see through the top half of the card. That's a problem.
Like, I literally always choose the bottom. Like, I never choose 1 or 2 because I'm afraid that I'll see through the thing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I sleeved mine. Like, my copy, it's one of the only games I've sleeved, and I just put black sleeves on them. Not because I care about the sleeves, but I don't want people to see through them. The other thing that I think the game absolutely needs is a D6. Like, I have a D6 in my copy.
Why?
Or a D5 anyway.
No, a D6. You'll see there. The person that puts the card on the easel in front of them just picks up the die and rolls it, and whatever number they rolled is the word that you're trying to get them to say.
Yeah.
And if you roll a 6, or in my copy, I have one of those dice that has an obnoxious symbol where the 6 would be that you can never remember if it's a 1 or a 6. Yeah. If you roll whatever that is, then the group votes on which number they want to do. Okay. Then the clue givers decide amongst themselves which one they want to do. That's the only, I did that to my copy, and it's because the other thing that does is then you can set the die down next to the card so nobody forgets what word they're working on, because that almost every time I play just one, somebody gives a clue to the wrong word at least once because they're space off or whatever. So I think those are both missed opportunities, and a freaking D6 is cheap. That should have been in there, my humble opinion.
And the big flaw in Werewords is app dependency.
Yeah.
Is what? I'm sorry.
It's app dependency.
Yeah, but that doesn't bother me.
It does bother a lot of people.
Yeah, I know it does. It doesn't, and you don't necessarily need to use the app. Like, you could legitimately store just one and Werewords in the same box and grab a just one card. You know what I mean? And pass that card around.
Or code words cards.
Or literally every word game, party game that has ever existed. Use any one of those things and you can generate words. I actually think that just one and Werewords in one box would be kind of awesome anyway, because I mean, when I take one, I take the other anyway. And you could use those cards. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, You could probably put it even in a quiver. I mean, I don't know what you'd use in lieu of, maybe you'd fold up a 3x5 card or something like that, but it's totally quiver. It's a quiver game.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. But other than that, I mean, other than those what I view as production error / weaknesses, I think that Just One is far and away the best game out of the
I mean,
three.
there are literally misspelled words on the cards.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on how friggin' ridiculous I think it is that there are misspellings in the age of the internet and spell check on every word processing anything that has ever existed. Come on.
It makes me giggle anytime one of those cards come out. I'm like, what the hell is it? Okay, got it.
Yeah. I'd like to see Ted win one. I really would. But Repost has a track record. They know how to win Spiel. So they know how to design games to target the jury. They know how to.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no matter what your opinion is on the whole insider werewords thing, I really genuinely believe that Ted is a passionate guy that loves the hobby and goes above and beyond to try and be a good ambassador for the hobby. I genuinely think that is the case.
I'm sure Ted is a lovely human person. I said, I'm sure Ted is a lovely human person.
Right. And I mean, my point is he's been busting his butt for a number of years now, putting out game after game. And almost everything, to be fair, that Bezier puts out is pretty good. Like, not all of it's perfect, but I think almost every Bezier game I've ever played was at least good. Like, I don't ever recall playing one that I was like, well, that's crap. I know some of them are ugly. Like, I think Suburbia is one of the ugliest games in the history of ever. But it's still a good game. I mean, it's got legs for a reason. So, all right. Tom in the chat is all right. So chat room, I'm assuming that if you're typing in just a game,
I had asked for votes on what the people thought.
Got it. So we have a Just One and a Llama in there. I really want to try Llama now, but I don't think it has a shot in hell of winning. My humble.
I mean, you could theoretically make Llama.
Right.
Yeah, you just get a mommy llama and a daddy llama, and you put
I guess one of the
and if they love each other, whatever. That's a Chad joke, damn it. I just was getting it in there before Chad had a chance.
Just curious to know what the card distribution is. I don't know. It says,
is it even?
Let's see.
I'll bet you it's even.
It has to be.
Nah, it doesn't have to be. It should be, but
knowing Kinitzi, it's probably not.
56 cards. 8 cards numbered 1 through 6, 8 llamas. So it's 8 of every. It's
exactly flat.
Yeah. So you could do it with 2 decks of cards.
Yep. You absolutely could. Okay. By the way, for those of you that maybe don't keep up with the Spiel process, they also release a list of nominated or recommendations that didn't quite make the cut, but that they thought were also good. Like basically the also ran or honorable mentions is the other way to look at it. This year's list. And this is the other reason I'm a little bit sad that Brandon isn't on the show. The 6 nominations were Belrati, which Brandon talked about nonstop.
Yeah, a lot of people talk.
Which is also
Mason.
A North American version should be coming out this year.
Yep. Okay. With different art, which I thought was a thing that I found interesting.
I got to take a look at it earlier this year.
Hey. Yep. So, and I'm going to, Nathan, I'm coming back to you in a second. I'll yell at you in a hot sec here. All right. So Belrati, Dizzle, Imhotep the Duel, Krasikaki, which I have no idea about, Reef, which is really good. And Sherlock. And which is actually 3 games, but they were released. They're all sort of like.
Is Sherlock that one? Which one is Sherlock?
Sherlock is the series of 3 standalone games released in Germany. Sherlock Death on the 4th of July, Sherlock Last Call, and Sherlock Tomb of the Archaeologist. I know nothing about any of them. I know nothing about any of them.
Yeah, I don't either. Those
so there you go.
I thought those were those itty bitty decks.
There you go. All right, real fast. I'm going to defend my reputation. I'm not trashing Suburbia as a game. I'm just saying it's ugly. It's a fine game. It's just ugly. It's super ugly.
It is.
It's real ugly. Like
it's designed to look like SimCity 2000, which
was ugly.
Looks great.
It's a great game.
Beautiful. It's so pretty. Everybody can like their own things. That's
sure. You're allowed to like things that are ugly. There's nothing wrong with that. That's cool.
Water fans think it's got the best art design in. Oh.
All right. Speaking of art design.
Oh, let's talk about a pretty game.
Let's talk about some pretty games. And I would argue that 2 out of 3 of the games that were nominated for the Kenner Spiel, which is the way that it was best described to me is think of this as next steps. So these aren't still gamer games necessarily. This is like after your family game night and they want a little more. This is the next step. The 3 nominations here are Carpe Diem, Detective from Portal Games, and Wingspan from Stonemeyer. I'm sorry, Carpe Diem from Aaliyah,
There we go.
Detective from Portal, and Wingspan from Stonemeyer. Those are the 3 Kenner Spiel nominees. I have not played Carpe Diem, but Brandon couldn't shut up about it when it first came out. He talked about it a lot on the show for a couple of weeks.
Mhm.
And he really liked it. You are allowed, Nathan, to think that it's fine artwork.
Yes, you are.
Everyone isn't. You'd be as wrong as you want to be, Nathan. It's all good.
Right.
Which
And
one are we
who's-
talking about
Who's
first?
played Carpe Diem? Well, it's first on the list, so let's do that first.
All right, Carpe Diem is a Stefan Feld game. You should probably mention that.
Mm-hmm.
And those green backs are pretty much the same color green.
Yeah, that's the thing I keep hearing about. Is
So you have to
The
mark.
printing's getting fixing that.
Huh?
They're doing a new printing this year, and it's going to.
That's going to fix it. Yeah.
So is it like green and greener?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
light green and dark green.
A shade. So
Yeah.
like Daniel showed me his, and he put a dot on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Daniel
yeah,
put a little black Sharpie dot, and that was great.
Ruth mentioned it too.
A previous Feld from Aaliyah had the exact same problem. Bora Bora has green and green in those
Those are
parrot
far
tiles.
more
Yeah.
Delphi had pink and red.
Delphi had some close color ones too. Yeah, that's
Okay.
true.
I don't know. I don't remember anything about how Carpe Diem plays. I'm just going to be straight up honest.
Mhm.
It's got that like you move and you can use the pentagram thing, or you can remove
Yeah,
it.
pentagram?
It's
Are we
got
summoning demons? What the hell? What?
it's got these little lines through the center of the circle for you that you can move.
Oh,
Like,
it legit does have a pentagram, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does look like you're summoning demons.
It has a pentagram thing that you can travel that way, or there's some other way you can travel. But I was taught that way, so that's the way I've played it.
It's like a weird Red Rover sort of thing.
Yes,
Okay.
it's basically a stretched out rondelle that way, right? Like, it's interesting.
Sure. Troy in the chat is pointing out that he says, I don't think there's another game that has a bigger gap between the quality of gameplay and the production. Is it that bad, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Why?
production-
What's so bad about it?
Nothing
Well-
fits quite right either.
Is it thin chips and thin cardstock and all
Yeah,
this? From what I've
yeah,
heard,
all of
too.
it is kind of
Traditional board game.
I would like to direct your attention to a certain game called The Castles of Burgundy, which also has kind of
Mhm.
crap components,
hey.
but is an amazing game.
Castles of Burgundy has much thicker, higher quality components than Carpe Diem.
Right. That's saying something right there.
Right.
That-
Yeah, the components in Carpe Diem are definitely not as nice as Castles of Burgundy.
Okay.
Not as nice as Castles of Burgundy. Wow.
Yeah, that's sad because Castles of Burgundy is really not good as far as components go.
Castles is one of my favorite games, but
It's
yeah,
a great game.
the components are not top notch. And
Aren't
they
they
are
doing like an anniversary edition of that this year too with better
So
components?
it's
Isn't that
been
the theory?
basically rumored, I believe.
Rumored with a fancy cover, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, of the Burgundy thing. It's just a redo.
hmm
I don't think it's not like the what was the one the it's not like the Puerto Rico.
It's not like a deluxe one. It's just
no,
better.
It's not like super deluxe copies. I think they're
Okay.
just scanning it for an anniversary edition.
Okay.
right.
Well, print it with better components. That's fine. All right. So that's
But
Carpe
the
Diem.
one we're actually talking about. Yeah.
Yep. Detective from Portal.
have
I
to-
am very surprised got nominated.
This is the
very,
one I'm
very
surprised by as well because it
Yeah.
just seems a little too fiddly for that particular.
I think
for
I
any
think it's
genre.
excellent, except
Right.
here's my big except. I think the website is hot garbage.
Mhm.
I think that it has serious usability flaws, and you can play a full game of detective, totally have stuff figured out. And when you punch it into the computer, the website's like, yeah, but you didn't do any of this other crap because it's not intuitive how you do things, like matching evidence up and theoretically getting credit for having found evidence, even though you have found it. If you don't enter it into their website correctly, is janked. So unless it's been fixed recently, and I haven't played it in a couple months, so maybe
No, they did do an update. Just throwing that out there because I was on it today. They did have some stuff on there about doing some updates. But anyway,
Okay. But that one surprises me a lot. Also because it's very cerebral. Like it's very much a heavier
It's like a
gameplay
heavy
proposition than anything else we're talking about.
I think it got the nomination for what it brought to the table.
Does it, like innovation wise?
Yeah, kind of like when Rob and Matt got it for Pandemic, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
it brought a whole new genre to the market.
Sure. Dominion.
Taking something like Sherlock Holmes and just throwing a whole new thing on it, right? That it's because you've seen a lot of app games like XCOM or whatever, but this actually uses things like real world things, like you go to real world Wikipedia, you go to all this to look for your clues, and that just sort of breaks that fourth wall, I think, and it makes it. That's what sets it apart, I think. But this is just, like I said, it's just me speaking. That's who knows the enigma that is STJ Journey.
So I'm trolling slightly here, but I want an honest answer. Where is the outrage for this game, which not only requires, like, it also requires an app, but it doesn't just require an app, it also requires an internet connection, right? Like an active live internet connection to play the game. Why is nobody complaining about that?
Outrage.
What?
There was a fair amount of outrage when it first came out.
Was
when
there?
it was first announced? Yeah, there was a lot of bitching on Twitter.
I mean, to be fair, that's sort of what Twitter is built for, as far as I can tell, is letting people complain about stuff in 280 characters or less. Yes, Detective is 100% cooperative, by the way. It is. It is, the group is attempting to solve a crime. And
real life.
In my opinion, Detective is best played at a player counts of 1 or 2. I cannot imagine wanting to play it with more than that. To me, this is a
3 on the BGG.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
Sure, I'm just telling you. I played it with 1.
Yeah, I would rather play it
level
solo.
1 today.
I played it with as much as 5, and that got really just like, okay, what is this person? They are the computer person. You just have to break down subgroups, and I don't think that's the best one.
Yeah,
that doesn't sound great. That's like any exit game for me. Exit, unlock, all of those. I want them to be 2-player at most.
See, Exit, I think you can get away with more than 2, specifically because there are cards to pass around the table and whatever.
Right.
Unlock, I only want to play Unlock solo. I don't give a crap about any of the human beings. The only reason I want to play, I'm serious. Like, the only reason I want to play an Unlock is by myself, because then you can just flip through the cards and have a good time and do your thing, right? And for the record, that's why I bought Detective also. It is a solo game for me. I want to sit down and just sit here and stare at it and figure stuff out, and I think that's cool. I just am mad about the website.
Maybe I'll pick it up then.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
What is it? They've done the LA Crimes expansion for it.
Yeah.
Miami Vice or something. And what was it? Rob WO is writing some stuff for it. So
he's working on his case today. So that's cool.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think this one, like I said, I think it just launched with a terrible website, which I think to me really hurt it. But that's just to me. Obviously, it didn't help it or hurt it worldwide because it's got nominated instead, and then isn't even a recommended, which I would not have been surprised if it got on the recommended list, right? Like, that would have made perfect sense to me.
I expected it to get recommended. I was a little surprised to see the nom.
Yeah, exactly. And the third and final.
Let me back up. One of Portal's go-to things is that he can fix things on the internet, right? So he's been able
sort
to
of like nasty
rule books that are
that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying everything. I can put out an FAQ, or I can put out an addendum.
I know.
I can put out an updated version of this thing,
and look, that's fine.
Maybe that's the version they looked at, was the updated version of this.
Maybe.
Yeah,
that's true. If they didn't even get to the judging process until after he had fixed some stuff, then that's fine.
They go into conclave like end of March or end of April, beginning of May. Yeah.
Oh, so it was only like a month ago that they started.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
They say they go into something like when they vote in the Pope or whatever, they lock themselves into a hotel for a weekend or whatever, and they just stay there until something gets nominated Yeah, and just hammer it
If
out.
it's sequestered, that's the
Yeah.
word you're looking for there.
That's just
I like the conclave idea better. Like
That's
the
beautiful.
white smoke comes out. And
That white smoke probably means something completely different.
Completely
Like
different,
famous
yeah.
line. There you go.
Ridiculous human being.
Yeah. We'll talk about, you know what? Screw it. Troy says there's a 40+ page FAQ/addendum for Robinson Crusoe.
oh God, I
Oh,
know.
my
We're
God.
talking about something completely different here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
and all I'm going to say is that we have beat this drum a million times. It's probably a Cubist bingo square, but I don't remember. We need to,
It
as a
should be.
hobby, get better at making the game playable out of the damn box. Slow
Yeah.
your roll, release it a few months later, and make it right.
Stop rushing to print everything.
Stop rushing to print every damn thing.
For the love of God. Yeah.
Yes,
And
please.
hire an English editor.
Yes, native speakers should always be your editors for every translation of your game. And hire real editors too, for that matter. Screw it.
Yep.
All right, sorry. We're just getting
Okay, back on track. Third game.
Last one, Wingspan. Speaking of games that could use spell
What?
check
What
and
is this? I
editors,
haven't heard of this one.
Wingspan.
The lovely designer Elizabeth Hargrave was just at Stumptown Game
I
Summit.
heard about that.
Yes.
Sign in birdhouses and stuff.
She
And-
signed burnhouses and boxes galore.
Mhm. And much of the art for the game, all the art that wasn't the birds themselves was Beth Sobel, right? Like, isn't that how that works?
No, she did the board.
She did the board.
and the
then-
birdhouse and the player boards.
Well, yeah, like the board stuff, and
Yeah.
then all the card birds, like the birds themselves were what, Rojas and somebody else.
Sure.
Yes, there were a
Because
couple.
I always joke that it's Brandon Rojas's wife, but it's
I
not.
was spoiled because I got taught the game by Beth on my birthday when I was in Seattle. So
wow, aren't you lucky?
that was a pretty rad way to play the game, and that's the only time that I have played it. We played 1.5 games because we had to stop and reset when somebody else walked up, and I didn't want them to sit there and wait for 2 hours while we finished a game that we were 20 minutes into.
Aw, that's nice.
So we stopped and reset. Wingspan to me is of the well, I mean, I haven't played Carpe Diem. I definitely think Wingspan is a better designed game than Detective is, far and away. I think Detective is maybe a cool experience, but Wingspan is just straight up a good game. Like, it is a really good engine builder
Mhm.
of a game. Like, it's got a little bit of tech tree kind of thing. It's got a little bit of engine building.
Birds that nest in a certain way.
Or as Beth always referred to them, murder birds.
I call them murder burbs. Yeah, murder burbs.
See,
So-
I got the bacon nest birds. I call nothing by its right
I
name.
don't call anything like right now.
that is me with Bonanza. I bought Bonanza when it first came out, and I had the German copy, and I didn't know what the words actually meant, so we made up names for all of them. So, like, the red bean is the potty bean because he looks like he's doing the pee-pee dance,
That's what he's doing. Yeah.
and the black-eyed bean, the black-eyed peas, whatever, those are the rock'em sock'em beans, and I can't call them other things now. Like, if I play an English copy, I'm still confused. I'm like, I don't know what the hell that is. There's
I
pukey.
annoyed, when we were doing Wingspan, I annoyed the wife because she's asking, like, why there's 3 zones you deploy the birds in. Why?
Yeah.
No, I say it's when they go to the bathroom. Some like to poop in the water. Some like to
Some like to poop on other birds. There you go. All right.
Anyway, let me chime in a little quick. So we played this. I played this twice with Cindy, and the second time was at Geekway, and again, I just wanted to chime in just as a lighter gamer's commentary on it. She enjoys it, and I specifically wanted to play it with her the first time because I thought she'd like it. I thought, well, maybe she likes this. Well, if we can ever find it, which is a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a copy of it. And she was happy to play it again. And then so anyway, she's like halfway through. She goes, I'm like, it just takes me like half of this game to like grok it. And she at least knew to use that word, right? And then finally gets into the game and kind of understands where she's going, but it's not entry level at all to her. She's still struggling to feel that engine and get it going and getting it moving quickly.
This is another one that I was a little bit surprised got nominated. Not because I think it's a bad game, but because I think it's a little bit heavier than where
I did not even know that it was released into the German market.
Yeah.
That was what surprised me when I saw the nomination. I really didn't think that it had been released to a German market yet, which would not make it eligible.
As far as I can tell, it hasn't really been released particularly well to any market, but that's a different story.
Right.
Well, I mean, to that point, that is the big more than any sort of spelling error, grammatical error. When they go back in and elect things, that plays, I would say, plays some consideration because
I'm sure.
When you win, if you win, you better be able to handle demand for it.
And
Right.
clearly they cannot.
They're only going to give the award to things that they know could handle. You know, hey, every German department store that puts out the display with the Spiel the Jahres logo with 30 copies is Stonemeyer or his partners going to be able to feed that demand.
Don't I
I
recall?
assume he's got a German printer that would print over there for him or something.
Yeah, but it's, will they have them in time and
Right.
have it, having copies on hand to take advantage of the marketing and the
Initial push.
the hype, yeah, exactly. Hype in that market is huge for those, and that will definitely play something into the decision.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I'm just going to be super brutally honest, and I'm going to, and full disclosure, I really like Jamie Stegmaier as a human
Same.
being. I really do. I think that he's a good dude, but this, like, somehow how he screwed the pooch this hard
You
on
didn't.
production for a game. What?
Did you read his thing about it?
No, I did
He did nothing wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong. Everyone's yelling at him because 10,000 for your first run is pretty normal.
It is.
Right.
Mhm.
Sure. Except for that has not proven to be the case. And
Right.
I don't know. All I'm going to say is for somebody that has spent a lot of effort positioning himself as something of a guru on how to publish games, it feels like he kind of dropped the ball pretty hard here. So
Well, I think he was playing the smart money. He fulfilled the Kickstarter thing, and he wasn't sure if it was going to be popular back then, or was he going to end up with something like I mean, not to knock it, but Between Two Cities that wasn't as well received.
yeah, which is a fine game, but definitely didn't light the world on fire.
I think My Little Scythe is probably a better example.
That's right. Yeah.
My Little Scythe really did not sell anywhere near the point that anybody thought it would.
Yeah, that was even.
Scythe is phenomenal, right?
Sure.
I don't mean in play. I mean like the amount
Yeah,
of people who still play Scythe at every
Right. Oh,
convention
Well, I mean, he's
is
got
mind blowing, and My
Sure.
Little Scythe just doesn't get it for whatever reason. It sits on every game store near me's shelf, and then ends up getting marked down to clearance. And
Yeesh.
yeah,
All right, so let's do our predictions before we get too far sidetracked. Kimberly, I want you to go first this time.
I think that Detective will win, but that Wingspan, design wise, should, but probably won't end up actually being considered.
Okay,
because of
Patrick.
production stuff.
Patrick,
Oh,
this is a tougher one than the first
It's
one
a
for
really
sure.
tough one.
A much tougher choice.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm
You want me to go second? You need a minute.
My problem is I haven't played Carpe
Mhm.
and
Carpe Diem.
don't have a feeling for how it plays.
It doesn't bring
No.
anything super new to the table.
Yeah.
It's a good game. It's enjoyable. It's not groundbreaking.
Yeah, it's a lot failed.
It's very felt. It's felt.
Yeah,
It's a light felt.
I'm gonna guess Detective too. I even though I don't really want it to.
Yeah.
Chad, what
Oh.
will win? Remember, not what should win.
So what will win? I am thinking, I really think Wingspan will win.
Really?
Okay. Interesting.
I think it's accessible, more accessible than
It is.
the two other titles,
Yep.
and I think that's what'll win it. And then I think now that it's got nominated, I think that's going to be, and plus Jamie knows what his demand is to North America. He can amp like you were saying earlier. That he's probably got people in Germany already ready to roll on that.
Probably.
Maybe.
He's not going to let that get away from him.
I don't know. There's been a lot of printing trouble for him this time around, so I don't know. I feel less confident there. Otherwise, I would agree.
And plus, it would be, I mean, I don't want to throw that out there, but look how many, we've only had, one female Spiel the Jahres winner?
Oh, I would love for that to see. Yeah,
Mhm.
I would love absolutely
What was it?
that to be the
Pur-
case.
Purple?
Yeah.
What about Inca?
Well, that's a pear.
I mean,
Well,
let's
I'm
not discount her because she's a co-design. Like it's a
Right.
co-design.
I just thought he was
Yeah.
talking about specifically the one.
yeah, I was talking about solo design. Yeah, because you could do like Andres Seafarth and stuff like that. Did
Right.
I mean, but I'm just talking like solo,
Okay.
not in the box. I want
Yeah.
to see that. I mean, that's beside the point, but it needs to happen as well.
Oh, I agree.
That happen, but I'm not saying she needs to win it because of that. I'm saying
No.
that game is good.
Mhm.
It has great table appeal. Yeah,
Deserves to win.
it deserves to win on its own merit.
Right. It's
Mhm.
just a bonus that it would also be nice to see some more female designers take it. Yeah.
I have not predicted yet, and I'm going to be a rebel. And I think the Carpe
You're going
Diem is
Carpe
going to win.
Diem. Yeah.
I am, and here's why. I have a couple reasons for this. Number one, Feld hasn't won a Spiel yet, has he? I don't believe he has. I don't think he has a Spiel winner yet.
I don't know that most of Feld's games fall within the range of what would
Exactly.
normally get nominated, just recommended.
Right. I agree. I guess that's
So La
I think
Isla.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything on BGG.
No,
Yeah.
La Isla definitely should have been, but yeah.
right. Except for the component
2008
quality.
Jota Best Designer nominee.
Yeah. My point is, I think that even though the Spiel judges aren't, the award isn't our people, I think the Spiel judges understand that Stefan Feld is a really big deal in this thing. And the fact that this game got there is that's number one.
True.
Number
That's
two,
also why I picked leaned towards Detective.
Detective.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But the second thing that I'm going to say is I think that every one of the three games that got nominated here has a serious flaw somewhere along the way. Like in the case of Carpe Diem, it's
Component quality.
The component quality. In the case of Wingspan, it's the actual production pipeline and some spelling errors and crap. In the case of Detective, it was the website and and the issue with that.
God damn, that speaks to the industry in general, right there.
Yes,
though.
it sure does.
They all have
Absolutely.
production
I agree.
issues. Like,
I agree, and that's part of where I'm having this issue. Of the three, I think they're going to forgive poor component quality first. And the reason I say that, the reason that I say that is because remember last year when they wrote that open letter bitching at everybody about how the rule books suck and they have to get this stuff figured out. You had they are on red alert watching for stupidity in publishing right now. You know what I mean?
So how did we get to these as the nominations then?
I know, right? Well, and that's part of it as well. I don't know. But I think that just for the market that they are aiming the Kenner Spiel at, I think Carpe Diem is the best fit out of the three in that it is probably going to be cheap, right? Like I think it's a reasonably inexpensive game in Germany. So it's a better sell for that. It's Feld and he's due for something at this point, even though his design strategy. I just think that's my logic there. Sorry, Chad, go for it.
No, I was going to bring up that thing, and I think that exact note they brought up last year, and Kim was talking about that, and when she was saying that she was cursing him for that reason, and I think this will, if they were to make an example of somebody because of that reason. This would be it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because last year they were saying so much stuff got sent to them to get play tested, and if it got nominated, then on the back end they fixed the rule books to go before it went out, for mass publication.
Right.
Everything Ignacio's ever published. Sorry. I'm sorry, what?
Pretty much, yeah.
I love Ignacio. He's a great guy.
He's a sweetheart.
We are all his beta testers, and we have been for 10 years.
We pay a lot of money to beta test.
We pay a lot of money to be his beta tester. Yeah. So anyway, I'm picking Carp. I like that we picked all three on this one. We were unanimous in the first one.
My second pick was going to be Carpe Diem, but simply because Aaliyah knows how to put it out.
Yep.
True.
They can.
How's the rule book? I like old Aaliyah games. Are they still
It's an Aaliyah rule? You know how they have the rules and then
I like.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Still good.
I think that makes it easier to, but I'm just used to that style, so that's probably
Sure.
All right, so there you go. We intentionally not gonna even bother with the Kinderspiel. Has anybody
Can we
played?
talk about the recommendations?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
The recommendations for Kennerspiel. Architects of the West Kingdom, haven't played it.
Oh, that's okay. Just an okay worker placement.
Yep.
Mhm.
I have never played any of those series.
I am officially sick of that font. Can I just say this out loud? The font from the box of Architects of the West Kingdom feels like it has been on 427 games in the last year or two. I would like it to go away. Like that is
127
adequate games, right? That's the other thing. It's like we're drowning in a sea of sevens, part 9,
Mhm.
right? Like none of those games have been amazeballs, in my humble opinion.
The unique thing about that particular one in the series is that it's got an interesting take that to the worker placement where you can throw other people's players in jail.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not bad. I got it. It's just
I don't know.
It wasn't mind blowing for me.
Yeah.
It didn't stand out in a sea of anything. I played it. I was like, this is fine.
I am a superficial prick because not kidding. I saw the font and I said, I don't need to play that. Like I'm what, Chad?
You must watch your tongue. It's not the first week of the month.
I didn't swear. I thought it real loudly, but I didn't swear. No, I literally looked at that box and I'm like, yep, don't care. So, okay, other recommendations. Lowlands, which Patrick, you said was everywhere at Geekway, right?
Yeah, I just thought a lot. Just
no idea. Haven't played it.
Nope.
Lowlands is an Uwe approved, but not his game, but it feels very Uwe-ish. Again, though, like it feels very Uwe, didn't have anything super innovative. It's a great quality game. It felt like other great quality games that already exist.
Yep. Okay. So nothing new.
But you do have to save those damn sheep. You don't move the levy thing so that if you're drowning sheep, I'm gonna be real cranky with you. That's all I'm saying.
To be fair, you're cranky with me all the time, so now I feel like I would at least earn it. What else? The other ones, Newton and Paper Tales were the other two recommendations.
Newton is good.
I haven't played the other one.
Paper Tales is what? It got released over here by Stronghold.
Oh, right. I couldn't even think of what it was.
Yeah, it's that one that's got like the king silhouette.
Yeah.
It's got a cool box cover.
Game.
Yeah, Newton has
That's all I know about it.
I don't know what it is, though. I don't know anything about it. I tried to get a demo of it at some convention,
I know.
and it was out, and the demoer literally just had no freaking clue. I went over to the table, and I was like, oh, I'd like to learn more about Paper Tales. And he was like, yeah. So in this game, let me look at the book. And then you could, and I was like, cool, have a nice day. Yeah.
Oh,
Not gonna.
Demoing is a skill, and not
It
everybody that does demoing it should be. And we'll just stop there.
That's also a company I don't buy games from anymore at cons.
Mm-hmm.
Who is?
Yes.
Stronghold.
Stronghold.
Oh,
Or at stores. I mean,
I'm confused. Hang on, help me out here. What?
their prices are outrageous.
Yeah.
And I like to pay people for their games, but I just feel horrible that I buy a game and it's half of what it was. I paid for it a week later. Literally
a week later.
A week later.
I did buy bricks this weekend from Stronghold.
To be fair, Paper Tales is not particularly expensive right now.
Okay. From where?
It's been out.
I mean, I'm looking on the BGG page.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, like, yeah, you can pick up a copy of it right now of the English second edition for $30 in the geek market, or brand new off of Amazon for $33. So I mean, it's not an expensive game by any stretch now. But yeah, I agree.
Cards touched or not touched, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Oh, and Newton is a good game, but too heavy to have ever really gotten them
To
out.
have ever made it. It was never going to win. Okay,
Heavy.
got it. Very good, very good. All right. Hey, Chad, thanks for jumping in.
Okay, we're not going to talk about the Gecko
Oh yeah, sorry.
the
The
Tallywhacker
kids
game.
We'll-
Are these the kid games? I don't know any of the kid
yeah,
games.
we don't know them any. None of us know any of them.
No, but Chad's played them all.
Chad, did you play them
I
all?
play the 6 that matter. I don't play the kids game.
Oh,
Okay, so
Okay.
so
I know
Just
I
check.
walked by them over this weekend while I was in Texas, and I know one of them involves a boulder, one of them involves jumping a log, and that's
okay,
all.
so the Go Gecko Go is definitely the jumping log, and Talder Vikinger is definitely the boulder, and Fabulantica is the third one, and it has. I can't decide if that box art is terrible or charming. It's living somewhere in the middle, and I don't really understand.
It's relatively cute, I think.
It's
So
cute.
one of them is basically Frogger, the board game, but with geckos. So you're saying we jump from log to log?
Go Gecko Go.
Hmm.
Sorry,
Oof, bless you.
thank you.
I was surprised I didn't recognize any of the games nominated. I
Well-
usually at least recognize one, even if I haven't played it. I don't know any of these, and I don't know if it's just because my kids are old and
yeah, they're like 82 and
so I said they're like
70.
45 and 70. But now we have Zero, my new baby great niece.
There
So
you go.
Yeah, you need to start buying games.
Congratulations. Very cool.
thank you.
So I mean, we have a Pegasus Spiele, we have a Zoc, and we have a Haba of the three. So they've hit, as far as I'm concerned, the trifecta of people that publish kids games. So it's really
Tiffany's.
it's
I have
really
a
hard to vote
whole-
against Haba.
Right.
That's all
I'm
I'm saying.
50 years old and I have a yellow game shelf. Just saying.
That's outstanding. Very cool.
I have a Zoc game show. So
Zoc puts out a lot of good games.
yeah.
I'm a big fan of what Zoc gives us usually. Yeah.
So I have no opinion here. I think I want to pick Fabulantica just because of the weird art, because that for some reason that art just makes my eye twitch a little bit, and I can't decide if I like it or not. So I sort of want to pick that, but it is for the most superficial of reasons.
I want to get the Haba one so I can just call it Tallywhacker.
Oh God! All right. That's terrible. Chad,
It
you're
is.
awesome. Thanks for jumping in, pal.
Oh,
Thank you
right.
so much, Chad.
Since
What?
since I don't, when was the last time you did you talk about one of your games? You like Pulsar 2849?
I do love Pulsar 28.
Did you see it was up for an Origins Award?
No, but I'm excited.
Oh, there you go.
Very cool. That game's
I saw
so
that. So
that is-
that's coming up.
so freaking good. That game is amazing and holds up really well to a year and a half later. Like, I still am not tired of it. As a matter of fact, I just put together, that's one of the games that I put my Folded Space insert for together.
Yeah.
And
And I don't know if you've played this one. Have you checked this one out?
Oh yeah, I like that. I played that a couple times.
I like that game. That is very clever. By the guy that did what's that game?
I don't know. Stop waving the box around so I can see the name, and then we'll be all set.
I think it was Nations.
Is that Nations guy?
Yeah, I think it's Nations guy. Ruston Hackensack. It's so clever. Renegades did it. It's so good. And somebody gave me a copy of the Ben Franklin deck building game.
Because that's, you know what? I will say this. It's almost unfair that we complain all the time about how there aren't enough new fun themes out in the world. But then when something does come out, we laugh and we're like, well, what the hell is that? Like, that's the thing that we need. So
You're not laughing at it in a bad way. I was surprised.
Ben Franklin. Where is there a hole in this industry that says, damn it, we need to have a Ben Franklin deck builder?
Nathan in the chat, this is actually a good question that I want to make that is worth touching on and pushing back the end of the show real quick for. Who gives awards for Heavy Euros?
It's the ones that it's the like
BGG.
Lego something. No.
Heavy Heroes, IGA, Heavy Cardboard has their own award.
Yeah, they do, but that's not big. I mean,
Golden Elephant.
that's a podcast award thing like that one. I don't think of.
I honestly think the Golden Geek Awards is probably the best. Like, in my opinion,
What
that
is the
seems
name
like-
of the heavy game one though? Isn't it like out of Portugal?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Why can I not think of the name of it? That's the one that I actually give a damn about usually.
There's like the French one, which is the IGA one is worldwide,
Okay.
and it's like they have like a really weird like Eric Martin votes on it and Joel Eddy, and they have like people all over the world that votes on it, and they will award heavy games.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me then. They will award heavy games, but it is not a heavy
not
games
only-
award.
It's not exclusive to
Right.
heavy.
But there is that one that is exclusively heavy games, and I cannot freaking think of what it is now. And it's pretty big, and my brain is dead. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
You're also pretty.
The Beatrice Spiel Press, maybe?
We are pretty, damn it.
Hey, jumping back, Hex Rollers guy is the Nations.
It is.
It is Nations, okay.
Yeah, it is Nations. Good.
Got it.
I
Cool.
was
a different game.
Dice. Okay, so Tom, what do we think about the Dice Tower Awards? I think about them the same thing I think about the Golden Elephant Awards, which is that it's a podcast award, and therefore it is all awards are somewhat subjective, but when you get the voting panel to basically become one human being or maybe three human beings,
Yeah, it was very
I start to not care so much. And I mean, I know that's not actually how Dice Tower Awards work, right? Like, I know that there is voting. I voted in those awards for 2 years. Okay. Like, I know all of that. But at the end of the day, I don't think that it carries the same sort of rigorous vetting that even the Golden Geeks do. I think even the Golden Geeks are probably a better representation than Dice Tower Awards would be.
I think I'm not going to say anything about the Dice Tower Awards because I don't have a horse in that race.
Right.
But the reason I like the Golden Geeks because it's solely based off user count versus user count, because the Dice Tower is user count versus committee.
Right.
Because there's percentage that's committee, and we don't know what percentage that is.
Yep.
Therefore, over, because that's why they have the People's Choice and then they have the committee award.
Yeah, to me, like, I am much more impressed with the Golden Geek Award than I am with almost any other award that a game is going to get, with the possible exception of a Spiel. And the only reason that Spiel is because I think that they're playing their test. I don't want to call it testing because that's not right, but they're judging protocol and is rigorous and time tested enough that I have some faith there, even when I don't agree. Like, I'm like, they have their reasons, and their reasons are culturally bound, right? And I think they're valid, even when I don't agree. So I think that, to me, the Golden Geeks are the only one that I ever really worry about besides Spiel. Everything else, and the Origins Awards, as much as like those do carry some weight, but talk about a voting and vetting process that's got some issues. Like, that one has always been a little bit janky. So
Here, people are angry.
that's paid to play our awards almost.
I do the Spiel. I try to keep up with IGA. I like watching the Diana Jones Awards.
Yeah,
because they hit all aspects of gaming and get some really, really strange entries.
Yep.
And then I like to keep up with the Ennies, even that's strictly mostly for RPG awards. So because I like RPGs a lot. So but that's another story. But
it sure is.
I think you just like games, maybe. Judging
maybe
your selection and collection and knowledge, you might like games. Maybe.
Yeah. So I would like to throw this out there to the chat room and anybody watching on the back end. Every week I have been trying to encourage like a reason to email the show. You know, just shoot us an email and let us know what you think. I would really like to hear predictions from folks that are watching in the email box, because this way I have a written thing that you can't deny later when you are 100% wrong about stuff. So shoot us an email, thecubistpodcast@gmail.com, if you have any if you have predictions, and we want to know what you think will win, not what you think should win, because
or you can email what color underwear Bill will wear next week. Yeah,
there you go.
So good.
That's fine. I'm all right with that too.
Valid as a prediction, really.
I would like to say that you are making an assumption there, sir.
I said if any.
There you go.
Very good. That part.
Very good. All right. So next week, ladies and gentlemen, will be the first Monday of the month, which means it will be an After Dark week, and I am prepared for as such. So gird your loins and be prepared to stay up for a couple hours instead of only one.
We didn't even remember to talk about butts last time. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
No, we did remember. We just didn't actually do it. There's a difference. You didn't remember. There you go. The Cubist is a proud member of Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. There you go.
Chad did it best.
Outstanding. Well done, Chad. That's because Chad has been muttering that in the chat room every week now.
I just type mumbles.
Nice. Go to punchboardmedia.com to find all kinds of awesome content, including all the past shows. We haven't been updating the cubistpodcast.com in a while for reasons that I don't want to go into right now. But everything does get posted to punchboardmedia.com. So if you go to punchboardmedia.com, you will see every one of our shows that we have ever done there. Thank you very much, chat room, for being with us. We really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Ahead of time, thank you for emailing the cubistpodcast@gmail.com with your predictions. I really do legit want you to do this, chat room, and folks watching later. You have 7 days, because I'm gonna keep score. Like, I'm legit gonna be like 47% of our crowd thinks that this one's gonna win.
I love statistics. Please do this.
We will put up an honest to God spreadsheet. If we get enough responses, I'll do it. If I get 2, because there are 1 or 2 people that always email.
Paul and Kyle, and
yeah, Paul is one of them. Thank you, Paul, for being a.
Paul went to bed, but yes,
that's fine. He watches the end of the show later.
I know.
That's what he said. So anyway, Chad, you're awesome. Kimberly, you are also awesome. Patrick, you're the best. See, you win out of the 3. See, I know. See what I did there? And thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will catch you all next week for 2 hours of 1 hour of fun and 1 hour of stupid. Have a great week of gaming, y'all.
Night, everybody.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.